News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And very good evening and welcome to Newsline Live. My guest today is Mr. Chandima Weerakkody, a Member of Parliament and a long political background. Now then, we thought we'd ask him with the growing concern in the country of various matters. First of all, very good evening to you, Chandima. Nice to see you.
Good evening.
Now then, let's just look at these matters of contention. The Port City Bill, the ill-fated decision to reduce the sugar taxes. Some people call it a sugar scam. There is the decision to do away with palm oil production and so on. There is there is of course the out-of-control COVID-19 situation, begging the question as to whether the government is actually giving us the right advisories. There appears to be a certain laxity in terms of the implementation of government guidelines when it comes to handling the COVID. Would you agree, Mr. Chandima Weerakkody, that there appears to be a growing sense of authoritarianism and departure from due democratic process?
Well, this is a democratic country, and there has been democracy since 1931, uninterruptedly, and Sri Lankan people have never tolerated authoritarianism. There had been instances in the history that there had been such signals, but people have casted their vote to effect a smooth transition of power. So this is not a country where there can be a government that is undemocratic. It's in the, like, as a politician who has been into politics for over 2 decades, I understand how Sri Lankan people feel. And this government came into power democratically. And the president, the prime minister, the president of the ruling party, President Mahinda Rajapaksa, prime minister, presently has been the longest serving democratically elected member in this parliament.
These are nice kind of timelines and records, but the fact is that the people of the country, just look at it. 73 years after independence, we have reports that 552 schools in our country lack basic sanitary facilities. They lack a toilet, for the want of a better word, right? And think about what that does to the female youth. You know, they probably miss school 4 or 5 days a month. And this is 73 years after independence. It's all very well saying, you know, Mahinda Rajapaksa is the longest serving person, so on. They said the same thing about Ranil, you know, and look what happened there.
Yeah, well, this issue of sanitary facility in schools have been identified and attended to,
but still
during
not attended.
Many terms of government. But still, it appears
It's still
that
hanging in the
there is
balance.
a unresolved issue. Of course, maintenance of the facility provided by the government is another problem. Now,
There's never any maintenance. You can see the new roads.
yeah,
Where's
especially
the
the sanitary facility in schools is whatever is provided by the government consecutively has not been maintained. So it is up to the principals and administrative authorities running education department to inculcate students and the employees to maintain those. I know personally, as a person who has been into politics, there are so many that have been built.
But Mr. Chandima, can I just tell you, I use the Devula flyover almost daily, okay? and I have to laugh at the irony. At the time, President Mahinda Rajapaksa's time, I believe something like $9 million was spent on that tiny little section, which is grossly over the top. But if you examine it, right, even that they haven't done they've done a rather shoddy job. The lights are, well, they don't work anymore, but the lights are held together by a piece of kambi, just a piece of wire, you know, and it's just twisted there. It's very amateurish. This is $9 million later. So what's the point? There's no. That's why I say there's no maintenance.
That's exactly what I said. There is no proper mechanism to maintain. Now, if you take the roads, now so many roads are being built. I'm not referring to the highways, the rural roads, but none of the Pradesh Sabhas, hardly any Pradesh Sabha has a unit to maintain roads within their jurisdiction. So these are things that we have been bringing to the attention of such various ministers and ministries. But
is it all just talk, Mr. Weerakkody? Because you see, you know, the government says, look, people have to be responsible, you know, don't move about because otherwise COVID will get out of hand. And this appears to be a very politically driven decision. For example, they said that before the Sinhalese Tamil New Year, but there was hardly any implementation. You can look at the photographs of the main shopping centres. It was worse than in good times. It was so crowded. If the government wants to implement it, they can't be so lax. That's what I'm trying to say. They need to put their foot down and say, no, you will not go. The roads are being closed because the consequences we can't bear.
Well, our thinking patterns will have to be changed first of all. Like, we are a country where a lot of people like talking. A lot of people, of course, we are not a country of fools. We have a lot of intellectuals, we have a lot of people who can see far, we have a lot of people who can understand, we have a lot of people with a lot of positive proposals.
Yeah.
But implementation has always been a question mark. So,
but why? Was it politically driven not to take a hard stance during the Sinhalese Tamil New Year?
Now this, of course, I must say both sides, I openly said it earlier also. Government as well as the general public are equally responsible for this result.
Yes, but because the Sri Lankan people are generally law-abiding, if the government had put their foot down, the people would have had no choice.
Yeah, it's like this. As a democratic government now, people have been told, this is a country with very high literacy rate.
Yeah.
Our media, our social media have been very effective. But in spite of all that, people, when they are not like directed militarily, they tend to not listen.
Not even militarily,
so, but it is very, I mean, it's not a good trend. People should be responsible as well, and at the same time, government also should have been responsible, especially when the crowds are flocking to go shopping. Last New Year, there were measures taken, but as opposed to compared to last New Year, this time as if the police and other who were responsible were keeping a blind eye as to what was happening.
Was this blind eye, this Nelsonian eye, looking at it askance, was it to do with the fact that they want to do other things and let the people enjoy something and let them be busy with else thing? The other thing being, of course, the Port City project. As you know, there's serious concern as to, whilst it's a good project, there's serious concern that parliamentary oversight may well be watered down. There are serious concerns about that. There are serious concerns that it is doing away from what the Constitution envisaged and so on. And so that's why I said to you at the beginning do you detect a certain moving away from democratic processes and norms to a greater authoritarian type of governance?
No, well, absolutely not. And we are not, as the government, as representative of the government, we are not for a moment in support of such moves, and the government is not into such. Of course, if you take the Port City project, the various consecutive governments that have been in power has been in favor of setting up a port city, because
no one who's against it, but it's some of the rules and processes.
Absolutely, there are certain law. It has already gone before the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That is only to look into the constitutionality of the bill. So, had there been any provision which is contrary to the Sri Lankan Constitution, determination will announce it. So, the government is bound to follow the determination that the Supreme Court is to be given very soon. And apart from that, as members of parliament, we have been elected to go further, go beyond the constitutionality of a bill, and to pass bills, acts in parliament to protect our country, that can develop our country, that can be beneficial to the majority of this country, and that will strengthen our future. So, we have a responsibility as members of parliament to bring in proposed amendments in respect of whatever that is there in the bill that we see can be harmful to our country. So, we are bound by that responsibility. This can be drafted by...
But with so many people displaying signs of blind loyalty, do you seriously think that they will vote with their conscience intact, or are they looking at their bank balance or other benefits?
Well, I mean, there are certain people, like when you take a parliament, there are
we can see that.
There are, it's obvious, I mean, we don't have to dispute about that, we argue about that. But at the same time, we have to understand that all of us have a responsibility towards the country and the people who voted for us. So, it is up to us to suggest our proposals and bring in whatever amendments before it is passed. And then to support, because we can't, to technically to tell you, we can't oppose this. We had to have a port city. We must have a mechanism to get FDIs into the country.
Yes.
We must have a,
but not at the expense or the danger of becoming a country known as some form of money laundering hub of Asia. Because that will then have detrimental effect on our country.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's why the laws of the country should be valid for this area as well. And there has to be mechanism to promote investment so that the approvals can be obtained speedily. Now you know, our practical experience is, if you want to get approval for something, when you submit your application to any other authorities in Sri Lanka to get approval, it takes more than 6 months minimum to get such approval.
But
so, in order to cut short such time taking and procedure, we had to have a mechanism. So, such mechanism must be in place. Now, we have been talking about one-stop shops, but to date we have not had.
We haven't had anything effective.
So, that is why we say now.
And then we have ministers. We have ministers and officials who have told investors, and it is on record, who have told investors, you know, deal only with me. As in, they want.
Now, I have a suggestion. Now, to take the commission. Commission comprises of members who can be appointed by the president. There isn't a single ex officio member.
Well, that's the problem.
Then the commission decides. It says the commission decides. Okay, commission will decide this approval must be granted by this particular authority, which is incorporated under certain act. So once the commission takes a decision and it is referred to that particular organization, authority, they will lay down whatever conditions that they have been traditionally laying down. So the investor will be back again frustrated. So what I suggest is, you must have such identified agencies, representatives at the highest level.
Yes.
Like if the head is a DG,
members,
DG say, supposing for environmental matters, I'm just giving an example, Director General CEA must be a member ex officio. Then whatever approval, the Commission can tell him, look here, this matter has to be given approval. The procedure is up to you, you follow the procedure, advise the investor accordingly, and by this date, you get your officials to come with the approval. Then it happens so. Otherwise, I mean, I know now, go back to 1994, Southern Development Authority was formed during Chandrika Bandaranaike, President Chandrika Bandaranaike's time. There was a commission, presidential task force that was appointed by various people, various experts who had international exposure, who were nationally recognized, who had experienced. Whatever that was decided by them, and there was a very strong act that was incorporated, Southern Area Development Authority Act. But when the approvals were to be obtained, there was resistance by the respective authorities when they were to act parallel.
Was it because of corruption, probably?
No, corruption is invariably there. I mean, you don't have to say, you go to any one of these organizations,
there is corruption.
There are good, genuine officers, but at the same time, at every level, you get corrupt officials.
I have two wonderful questions to take us into a break. I'll read the first one, and when we come back, you can answer it. Mr. Weerakkody, I'm back from overseas after 15 years. The road down where I live has been repaired 3 times. Still there are potholes. The people are not literate. If they were, they would not vote a clueless government like this. Now they are enjoying the consequences. You can answer that after the short break, and we look at the headlines.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back, and this is Newsline Live. We're in conversation with Mr. Chandy Weerakkody. Mr. Weerakkody, I know I asked you a question before the break, but there's one that's come in between now. This viewer is asking me, or asking you actually, whether when you look at the state of affairs right now in our country, Dang Sappada, do you subscribe to that? Is it Sapper now?
Well, you have to, I mean, I don't have to answer that. People know whether it's Sapper or not for them.
Okay.
But of course,
it's not Sapper for you, though, is it?
It's not Sapper, I must say. It's not Sapper for anyone for that matter, because we are faced with a difficult time in this country. Not only in this country. If you take the world is in crisis. You take our neighbor, India.
Yes,
India
I know.
Is suffering in a big way.
They are suffering. Everybody has their own levels. But, you know, we're talking about us here and this proposed Port City bill and all sorts of things. Do you think, do you expect these courts to actually give judgments based on law, or whether there's sometimes that these may well be a bit skewed? The reason I say that is because we can see that on the side of the government, various cases they're asking them to be done away with. When the Attorney General sort of indicated that he was not willing to play ball, they are now, honestly, you guys have got a resolution. They're hoping to pass a resolution in Parliament so that the Parliament will ride over the judiciary. Where's the separation of powers?
No, well,
that's why the viewer is asking you, Dang Sappada.
No, well, Parliament, I must say, is not in a position to override whatever that power that has been vested with judiciary by way of a resolution. If that is the case, there is clear separation of power. Of course, the Parliament has given certain authority to the judiciary as well as to the executive. So, whatever that has been given to judiciary can only be taken back by way of a constitutional amendment.
Look, Mr.
So for that,
Veerapalli,
you have to have 2/3.
My mind
Yeah.
instantly goes to Sergeant Ratnayake and his release. He was convicted in every single court. The judgment been upheld even at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
He murdered these people, including a young child. And then he gets pardoned.
No, it's like this. According to Sri Lankan constitution, the president has authority to give a general pardon. Now, this is not the first instance that
No,
a pardon has been given.
That's right.
If you go back the history, Gonavala Sunil was given, and then this guy who murdered a Swiss girl was given in the recent past. So there had been such pardons that have been given. That is as a result of the president exercising the authority that is vested with him, in him. But by way of a parliamentary resolution, no court procedure can be vitiated.
Did you watch that little clip on social media today? The public getting increasingly irritated at having to wait for some VVIP, who knows, who cares, entourage. Okay, so maybe it was the Chinese defense minister and so on. Did you
That
notice?
of course I completely, I was also caught up for that.
Did you toot?
I was returning
toot?
from Galle. I was there in that down Castle Street.
Yeah.
Police, I don't know why they had to keep people waiting. Of course, when a foreign delegate comes, you must give them way.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
of course at midnight, I don't know what traffic was there. Usually there is hardly any traffic. But the issue is, they could have kept the roads closed for 5 minutes, just less than for 5 minutes. People were tolerated. There what happened was, people, even I was there for over 20 minutes.
You didn't answer my question. Did you toot?
No, I was listening to.
toot?
I didn't go to toot, but I was listening to the.
Were you driving? Were you
No, there was a driver. So
did you not get your driver?
I
to
didn't
toot?
want to get the driver to do anything. I was very tired. I was returning from Galle. But I mean, I felt the reactions of the people. There were three-wheelers parked by my side. They were like very angry. I mean, they were like going back home after work.
Frustrated.
So that is, I mean, there I admit that whoever the authority who decided kept people waiting for too long. They should have, I mean, had it been just 5-6 minutes, people would have tolerated. I mean, we have to honor, we have to respect a foreign dignitary who's visiting our country.
Yeah.
Because we get the same respect when we travel those countries, especially when Sri Lankan delegations go to China. They are treated like friends. But of course,
But not at the inconvenience of the public.
Absolutely so. I certainly agree. They shouldn't have done it.
So, as we are living in these very serious times, this pandemic, the trains continue to be crowded in same old rolling stock. Some of them are rust buckets, and I'm being kind by saying rust buckets. The buses are simply overcrowded, and they're way past their sell-by date. They should be dumped and crushed and whatever.
Absolutely.
And so we're wondering where on earth government revenue is to uplift the conditions of the people.
It's a very disheartening story. I mean, we as politicians, we have seen how people are faced with such hardship. We have been in governments, we are in government,
yes.
but the solutions that we have been proposing have not been effective, I must admit that. So that's why we must leave aside politicking, we must leave aside criticizing each other, we must unite as a team, and we must get people with talent, we must get people who can deliver, we must have people who can take decisions, we must be transparent. If the government and the people can explain as to what is happening in this country, people are ready to accept that. When we were battling the war or the eradication of the period that we fought to eradicate terrorism, whatever hardships that the people had to face, people didn't protest. People knew that the government is going to eradicate terrorism. Now our war is to eradicate poverty, to win our economy, uplift our economy. So as government we must now show that there is a way, a will, and we are transparent.
That sounds like a tall order when we look at all the corruption and so on that's going on. You know, I wanted to ask you a bit of a political analysis and insight, but we don't have enough time. But can I ask you this? Is there trouble at the firm?
Not to my knowledge. We are like spectators in this government. We don't know what's happening at the center.
So who sent the stage? The Rajapaksa family?
We had to ask the Prime Minister and the President.
Yes, so is there any trouble? Is there any trouble there?
We don't know. I don't think there is any trouble there. The country is moving.
There's one brother who's not in, but who was in.
Yeah.
But he's now strangely out.
No,
waiting. Is he waiting to come back?
Whoever has been elected by the people only are in government. No one is in government because of any other relationship. So those who are in government are people who have been accepted by the people as of now.
Some of them are appointed.
Not into parliament.
Yeah, national list, that's an appointment.
National list, yes, not such people, not people from the family, none of the people from the
what you're saying is all the Rajapaksas have been elected.
Have been elected. So it is up to the people. If they are not performing up to the expectation of the people, people can decide. So it is up to the people to decide. But what I'm saying is, as government, we must be in a position to deliver in an effective manner and in a more transparent manner, so that the people will be
I have to, at the risk of overrunning into the news, but I have to read this out because it's a brilliant statement or a question. Please tell your guest that he gave us the biggest laugh in a long time. Nobody twisted his arm to go onto that side and give them the 2/3. Where was his sense of right then? Made a mistake? Did you make a mistake?
2/3, you know, I belong to a party. So as a party, we took a decision. And when running for elections, what was said was that there will be an amendment.
This sounds like almost like an apology.
Yeah. So, understand. Certainly, of course, there are times at which we regret of what we have done.
Very quickly, did you regret your decision?
Sometimes.
That decision, did you regret it?
Sometimes I regret, sometimes I think that should have been done, but till such time a proper, acceptable constitution is brought into the country.
The news is now overrunning, so unfortunately this is the end of Newsline Live. Thank you, Chandima Weerakkoli, and it's back now to the control room and to the primetime news. Take care and God bless you.
Thank you.